I took the country out militarily in the first 4 weeks. I took it out militarily. Now all we're doing is sitting back and seeing what deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, then I'll finish it up militarily with the other 25% of the targets. We've hit 78% of the targets that we've wanted to hit. We've knocked out their manufacturing. We've knocked out their missile production. We've knocked out their drone production. We've knocked out everything. In some cases, when I say knocked it out, 70, 80, 90%. It's amazing what we've done. So I've done that within that period of time that I mentioned, but I don't want to rush myself, because every story says, oh, Trump is under time pressure. I'm not, no. You know who's under time pressure? They are.
If you need more time, does that mean Americans should anticipate spending more on gasoline for the foreseeable future?
For a little while. And you know what they get for that? You know what they get for that? Iran without a nuclear weapon that's going to try and blow up one of our cities or blow up the entire Middle East. You want to see what shock would be? And I have to be honest, the stock market is at an all-time high right now. I thought it would have been down 20, 25%. When we hit, wait a minute, wait, can I finish my question, wise guy? Stock market's at an all-time high right now. I projected, and I'm pretty good at this, that the stock market, Howard, would drop maybe 20%, 25%. And I understood that. And I said, hey, it's a bad thing, but I have to do what's right for the country, even the world. Because you can't have them, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. So right now, I don't want to rush it because you guys are, trying to make us look as bad as possible. I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time. We have plenty of time, and I want to get a great deal.
Meantime, President Trump giving more insight into his diplomatic strategy towards Iran. He says right now he's just not in a rush to reach a deal with the regime, and he wants any agreement they do make to be everlasting. The president also pointing out that Iran's fractured leadership is a complicated factor.
I can only tell you this, it'll end. I don't think it'll be very long, by the way. They're delaying it because we don't know who to deal with. We don't know who the leader is in Iran. Because remember, regime change. Khomeini is gone, and all of his team is gone. Then a second group came in, they're all gone. And now you have the third group, and they're a little concerned about being gone, too.
And for more on this, we are joined now by Victoria Coates. She's the Vice President of National Security at the Heritage Foundation and former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump. Victoria, good morning to you. Great to see you as always.
Good to see you too, Bill.
So the president says that time is on America's side right now, while it's certainly not on Iran's side. He points to that naval blockade the U.S. is using, which is slowly constricting Iran and its economy every day. Is he spot on with that assessment?
Oh, he is. And I think that's really probably the most important thing that Secretary Hegseth said this morning at the press conference at the Pentagon, which is we have all the time in the world. That is almost a death knell for this Iranian regime because they don't have all the time in the world. The president and the secretary are correct. Their economy is under massive, massive pressure. And then the clock is ticking on their oil storage on Karg Island. That's why they're desperately trying to get those tankers out. They have to move product, or they're looking at capping their wells within 2 weeks.
We heard Secretary of War Pete Hegseth say this morning he's frustrated with our European allies. It's something.
Now, here's the biggest question. Is Trump and this woman from the Heritage Foundation, are they being honest when they say that America has all the time in the world? They don't have to worry about any time limits or time constraints concerning the situation in Iran? Well, I don't think that's totally true. They'll say it because it sends a certain signal to Iran, but is that actually the facts? That's what we're going to find out today. Also, we're going to talk about something that could lead to mass deportation. The Trump is ending the legal status of people who entered into the country with the CBP 1 immigration app under Biden. I don't know if you remember that. The Biden administration created an app where people would be able to apply for entry via their phone. Well, Trump's getting rid of that. And he's getting rid of the legal protected status of the people who came in on that app. So that's going to be interesting. But let's get to the first topic. Does Trump really have all the time in the world? Well, we don't know. What we do know is that we're at a critical juncture in the Middle East tonight. Following Trump's naval blockade of all Iranian ports, a series of surgical strikes that brought Tehran to the table, we're seeing the power of American resolve. But as the smoke begins to clear, the focus naturally shifts to the internal rot of the Iranian regime. Reports are swirling regarding the health of the new Ayatollah. Apparently he's fruity. Apparently he got his leg blown off. Apparently he ain't got no lips to even kiss somebody's ass with if he wanted to. The sources suggest that this guy is heavily incapacitated. And this has left a power vacuum that Donald Trump, President Trump, is prepared to exploit to ensure a deal that will finally end Iran's nuclear program. However, this is what I know, and this is what you need to know. The clock is ticking here at home. A lot of people, Trump's critics, and even people who, admire and respect the president, even me, someone, I'm a Trump supporter, but I do worry about this. Some of his critics and some of his supporters are pointing to the War Powers Act. They're arguing that as we approach the 60th day of this sustained attack, the president will need to seek formal approval from Congress to continue this pressure campaign. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers, once warned, the spirit of resistance to government is so valuable on certain occasions that I wish it to always be kept alive. So while the debate in Washington begins to heat up, Donald Trump seems to be undeterred, proving that as president, he's not going to let bureaucracy and red tape stand in the way of what he believes is the right decision when it comes to our national security. Trump's playing hardball because he knows that this whole idea of peace through strength is what got America to the prominence that we enjoy today. It's not just a slogan for him. It's not just a slogan for me. And it's not a slogan for, and it shouldn't be a slogan for you. But here's the thing. The law is the law. So it'll be very interesting going forward to see if President Trump has actually found a workaround to the end of his legal authority to wage war or to enter into military conflicts for up to 60 days without the approval of Congress. Now, there are some caveats in that, and I'm not really the guy to go into that. We would need some people who are a little bit more understanding of the War Powers Act, but I believe there's something in there that allows them to go up to 3 months, right? I'm not totally sure of that, but I believe I heard that mentioned somewhere. Now, I could just kind of search it up on the search engine, right? Duh, we got technology. How long can a president engage in sustained military attacks without congressional approval? Now, we know that Obama, he was doing it his whole presidency and never got a declaration of war from Congress. So we already know that this is a situation where they're picking and choosing. One president can do it. If we don't like the president, we're going to have a problem with him. So according to AI, it says that a president can engage in sustained military attacks for up to 60 days without congressional approval. And I'll let you guys read that with me. Why am I being so selfish? Maybe I'm selfish. Yeah. So a president can engage in sustained military attacks for up to 60 days without congressional approval, after which forces must be withdrawn unless Congress authorizes continued action. This 60-day period can be extended to night. See, that's what I was talking about, where I said I thought I had heard it could go an extra month. This period can be extended to 90 days if the president certifies in writing that unavoidable military necessity requires the continued deployment of U.S. armed forces. So we can pretty much be sure that Trump is going to say, hey, this is unavoidable. We need to extend, these are military This necessitates the military's continued presence in this area. And according to our rules, the War Powers Act, he is able to do that. So 60 days is the time, but then it can be extended to 90 days. So when you really think about it, Trump is kind of a genius because he did so much in 60 days and he kind of stuffed everything into that 60-day window because he knew he would have like a 30-day buffer to sit back and let things happen. I mean, I would go to war if my country required me to. Somebody's asking a question, would you go to war? Hey guys, I'm very nice, so I read all these comments. You know, if they're interesting. Most people make you put it in a super chat. I don't do that. But I also do that with the faith that you guys will bless us and help us reach our super chat goal just so we can keep everything cool. And I don't have to say, hey, I'm not reading it. Because one thing I hate, if I'm in a comment section and I'm making a comment and the guy sees my comment and it's good and he just ignores it. But they're doing that because they want you to put it in a super chat. But I'm just going to talk to you like human beings and grown men and women. Help us out with our super chat goal. I think it's 10 super chats of any amount, $1, $2, 50 cents, whatever. It's pinned to the top. Just help us reach that. Thank you. And if you don't have super chat, there's Cash App and there's PayPal links pinned to the top of the chat. Thank you in advance. Okay, guys. But Brandon, would you go to war if my country required me to? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? That's stupid. I'm not a part of the new age where you root against your country and talk down on your country so you can feel like you're a good person. I've been around the world. I understand that everyone's playing to win. No one's going to take a L so you can win, so they can feel good. They could say it, but it's usually the people who are at the bottom who are talking about how somebody should give up their place at the top so they can get to the top. And then when they get to the top, they're not giving up their place for anybody else. All good. But like I said before, it's important to stand with your commander-in-chief, especially when, like Trump, that person is putting America first and ensuring that the enemies of our freedom understand that, you know, the days where you could just take advantage of America, manipulate us, threaten us, and then expect to receive money from us, those days are just over. And even though there are a lot of us who are assigned to weakness, we think, you know, in America, we used to say peace through strength. Now there's this mindset like, oh no, peace through weakness. The weaker we are, the more people are going to the people are going to just come and, you know, want to play patty cake with us. That's not the way this works. That's not the way this works at all. You're not going to get anybody who's going to just say, hey, let's not bomb America or take advantage of America because they're being nice. I continue to express to people, my friends, people I'm cool with, guys, there's no such thing as like this altruistic crap that you guys are talking about. It really doesn't exist. The rest of the world is not just sitting back like, hey, let's play patty cake, everybody get along. No one's thinking like that. Everyone's seeking an advantage over the other because that's their job as leaders. As a leader, you have to look, right? If you have to look at how you can improve the lives of your people. If Iran gets America out of the way, they feel like they're not only going to be improving the lives of their people, they feel like they're doing what's right in the eyes of their God, right? They're Islamist. They, they want to spread Islam and Sharia law. So understand they're fighting an ideological battle as well, as are we. No matter what you want to think. Is what action required? Guys, I'll put the link in the comments. If you want to come up and give commentary on this, feel free. Because I don't know everything about this situation. All I know is that now we know because we did the research. Trump is coming up on a deadline for his sustained military exercises and excursions in Iran. That would be May 1st. But now we're learning that Trump can extend that for 60 days. For 30 days, if necessary, simply by writing a letter. Hey, it's a necessity that we're here. We got to keep this going. And that doesn't need approval by anyone. He just sends it in. He just phones it in. Hey, we got to stay over here for whatever reason. Thanks. See you in 30 days. So, bro, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's really not under any pressure to reach a deal right now. But it's going to be pretty hard to reach a deal with Iran because they are in a leadership crisis right now. Apparently, from what I'm hearing reported and from what I'm seeing on news channels or YouTube channels that are run by Iranians, there's a fracture within the leadership of Iran. They're literally going at it right now because there's a power vacuum. The Ayatollah is incapacitated, so now there are generals who are trying to take over the government. For as far as what I see reported, there are generals attempting to take over the government now that the new Ayatollah has been blown to smithereens. Like I said before, this guy, they're saying he doesn't have a leg, and they're saying he's like missing a leg. They said he had 3 surgeries on his other leg. They're saying he's missing, his ears are like blown off, his lips are blown off, and bro is like, he's pretty much cooked. Some people are even saying that he can't see, saying his eyes got burned. So, man, I would hate to be that guy. I hope whatever they're fighting for is worth it, because I don't think I could do it. Getting blowed up, I gotta have nukes. Well, if they get them, we're gonna know that they understand exactly what it means to be blowed up.
India says their foreign minister indeed will be in.
So a lot of people were saying a bunch of stuff about the negotiations. Oh, they're not coming back to the negotiating table, blah, 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 blah. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. You know, all the doomers, the black pill people, they're repeating this constantly, right? I have friends. I know you guys have friends. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on Twitter. And they are just laughing and joking and, oh, Trump, they think they're like taking a dig at Trump, right? But every time you go to look at any reports, the reports go directly against what they're saying. And this is what happens when you jump on any piece of fake information or propaganda that is thrown out there. I told one of my friends the other day, hey, dude, if Iran threw a damn bone over a cliff, you'll just jump over the cliff without even thinking, because all you do is jump on everything they say and run and put it on the internet as if you want it to be true. Don't claim to be a journalist or someone who's trying to report facts, because you're just jumping on everything they say, and then when the United States says something, they don't mention it. But this is what we know now. Apparently, the negotiators of Iran and the U.S. are headed back to Pakistan for more negotiations. So that points more to this idea that there's a fracture within the leadership. One side of the leadership wants to attack vessels and ships in the Strait of Hormuz that are attempting to leave Iran, and then the other side wants to come to the table and continue to negotiate. So you can just look at the events, and here's the thing: we don't know that for a fact yet, but if those Iranian leaders land in Pakistan tomorrow, you know that will confirm that there's a fracture within the regime, which is better than we all could have hoped for. That means there will definitely be regime change.
Breaking news here on America Reports. Iranian state media says their foreign minister indeed will be in Pakistan, but not for talks with the United States. As the White House tells us, those talks are in fact on, with America's top 2 envoys set to leave soon. Listen here.
So why would he even be in
I can
Pakistan?
confirm Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be off to Pakistan again tomorrow morning to engage in talks, direct talks intermediated by the Pakistanis, who have been incredible friends and mediators throughout this entire process, with representatives from the Iranian delegation. Look, the Iranians reached out, as the president called on them to do, and asked for this in-person conversation. So the president is dispatching Steve and Jared to go hear what they have to say.
All right, well, welcome to a new hour of America Reports. I'm John Roberts, and good Friday afternoon.
Thank you for having me back.
So who do you believe?
Wow, we definitely can't believe the Iranians, right? We hear
I
that all the
wouldn't
time.
think, no.
Well,
Yeah. Well, the Iran is sending out mixed signals. But here's the thing. Your friends on social media, whatever Iran says has to be true. Imagine living your life like that. You've been in America your whole life. Yeah, everything America does isn't great, but you're able to make a life. No one's like stealing your money. The government ain't hyperinflating the economy to the point where a loaf of bread is $75. Your kids go to school, get an education, eat lunch. They're not getting poisoned. There are no bombs dropping on you. The government isn't pulling you over for drinking alcohol and putting you in prison or beating you and raping you because you're a woman. But you would trust a country who is doing all types of evil things on a daily basis to its own population. You would trust that country over your own. Like, I don't know. I mean, do we have some type of like disconnect in our minds about which country is better, which country is more wholesome, and which country protects the freedom of its citizens? I don't think there's any competition. So my question is, why would someone believe a terrorist regime and everything they say versus what their country where they live safely with their families says? I just don't get that. I really don't understand that. I don't know what double tap your screen is, but do it. Somebody said double click your screen to help them out. And I got you, L.A. Thorne, on the super chat right now. Let's go hear from my brother real quick. Trump has Iran by the huevos. Iran has a few days before they're going to be forced to shut down their oil wells because they're running out of physical space to store it. 100%. And what I'm reading is if they shut down those oil wells, a lot of those wells, they'll never be able to reopen them. So look at that. So it's like Iran could keep lying, but it's like my granny used to say, it's going to tell on you before you tell on it. Iran's lies will be exposed one way or another. And all I'm saying is I hope that the people who are siding with Iran, I hope that the people who are taking Iran's lies at face value and trying to use them, to like shame America, I really do hope you're ready to basically eat crow when you realize that Iran was lying to you and you were believing it because you're a fool. Shout out to my boy L.A. Thorne the Martian. I appreciate that, my brother. 1 super chat down, 9 more to go.
I'm Aisha Hasnani in for Sandra Smith. We've got a lot to get to. Diplomacy picks up as U.S. forces are now also flexing their military might in the Mideast. CENTCOM says 3 U.S. aircraft carriers are now out there with more than 200 aircraft and 15,000 sailors and Marines on board at the ready.
And right now, President Trump is meeting with his top advisors in the Oval Office as we wait to hear from the president on what comes next.
Our correspondent Lucas Tomlinson is at the White House North Lawn with the very latest from the administration. Hi, Lucas.
Good afternoon, Aisha. And that report you just mentioned, introduction from Tasnim News, that's controlled by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. So it looks like there's still some fissures in that relationship that we've been reporting on for weeks now.
Okay, so he's clarifying things right now. Then that media outlet is controlled by the IRGC, right? Understand there's like an internal conflict between the military apparatus of the IRGC and the people who are loyal to the new Ayatollah. So yes, the IRGC can control the media narrative to an extent and make you believe that, oh, the foreign minister's going to Pakistan, but he's not going there for negotiations. Guys, it's like a lie that a little 5-year-old child tells. They'll tell a lie, but it's obvious that they haven't thought the lie through. Because if you look at the circumstances, you could tell that they're lying, right? Have you ever caught a little kid who wet the bed? And you're like, did you wet the bed? And they're like, no. But they got this big ass pee stain in the front of their pants. They're lying because they don't want to feel shame and embarrassment. But they also didn't think, yo, I didn't take off my pee pants, right? I didn't take off my piss pants and put them in a hamper and change clothes. I had a nephew who used to wet the bed, and literally he wet the bed till he was like 11 or 12, and I watched his lie evolve. When he was a kid, young, 5, 6 years old, he would pee and say he didn't pee with a piss pot stain in the front of his pants. As he got older, he learned to hide it. He learned to conceal it. okay, I'm going to change my clothes, shower, put these clothes in the dirty clothes hamper. But I would still catch him because I would just go check the hamper first, then ask him. But then as he got like 12, he learned how to use the washing machine. So I would hear the washing machine start up in the middle of the night, and I would know, bro peed the bed, right? But he would go through the steps to conceal what he did. What you have to understand is that these people in the military and just in general, a lot of people in Iran, because the education system, a lot of people are prevented from going to school. They're very low IQ people. So when they tell lies, they kind of use. Have you ever met someone who just hangs around generally people who are not that intelligent? Like, have you ever been around somebody who just hangs around a bunch of people who aren't smart? They, for a second, when you first meet them and they get to know you, they think that the lies that they tell to these other people will work on you. And then when you show them that, hey, your lies aren't going to work on me, I don't believe them, then they try to change up the strategy, right? That's Iran. Iran is used to being able to lie to its own people, right, and get away with it because a lot of people there just aren't that intelligent. They have like fear and like also somewhat of an admiration for the IRGC. So you'll make yourself believe things that are not true. It's much like Hitler in Nazi Germany. There were some Germans who they knew the shit Hitler was saying was bullshit, but because they loved him and admired him so much, they would just believe it. So then even Hitler, when he would speak to the rest of the world, some of the things he would say would make no sense, but he was just so used to nobody pushing back, right? That he wouldn't even realize, yo, I'm telling the world, I'm saying this stuff that don't make no sense to the rest of the world. Because that's what happens when you live in an echo chamber where everyone's a yes man, like the IRGC. So I want to ask y'all the question. The foreign minister of Iran is not going to Pakistan for peace talks, but he will be in Pakistan at the same time as the American negotiators. Just think that through. The foreign minister of Iran will be in Pakistan, random as hell. He will be in Pakistan at the same exact time as the negotiators for America, but he's not going there for peace talks. Does that make sense? That only makes sense to a doomer, a black pill person, and the idiots in Iran who actually said it. It's the dumbest shit ever.
Not everyone being on the same page, perhaps some blowback from the IRGC about the foreign minister's travels to Islamabad, ostensibly to meet with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff after President Trump and his spokeswoman, Caroline Leavitt, said that this trip was at the invitation of the Iranians. They wanted to talk. President Trump says he wants to hear him out. That's why he's dispatching his special envoys. And Caroline Leavitt also talks about the president's new red lines when dealing with those Iranian gunboats that have closed the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump, as commander-in-chief, has given the green light and authorization to the Department of War to take lethal and kinetic action if they deem necessary. If these boats are threatening U.S. assets in the region, they will absolutely be dealt with accordingly.
Now, U.S. forces seized 2 Iranian tankers in recent days in the Indian Ocean. Iran then seized 2 commercial ships in the U.S. In the Strait of Hormuz, an apparent tit for tat. Those 2 commercial ships not from the U.S., however. With the addition of the USS George H.W. Bush, there are now 3 aircraft carrier strike groups in the Middle East, as you mentioned. It's the first time since the Iraq War in 2003 the U.S. Navy has dispatched 3 carriers to the region. Back then, it was 5. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, says Bush will be joining Abraham Lincoln to enforce the blockade in the Arabian Sea.
Not only is the blockade growing, in fact, a second aircraft carrier will join the blockade in just a few days, but this growing blockade is also gone global.
Now, standing next to the Secretary of War is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane. He says U.S. forces in the region are prepared to relaunch combat operations against Iran if these talks go south. Aisha.
Okay, Lucas Tomlinson live for us at the White House to start things off. Lucas, thank you.
Let's bring in Dan Senor, former foreign policy advisor in the George W. Bush administration and former Pentagon advisor to CENTCOM. Dan, it's great to see you. So,
good to be with you, John.
Unravel this for us. The foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, is headed to Islamabad.
Let me clear this up. Somebody said, you're lying, this and that. Women are the smartest, blah, 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 right? What I mean when I say the people are kind of dumb, I don't mean they're like unintelligent. I mean no one's gonna push back against what the news outlet is saying. You don't have a news outlet that is openly in the country opposing what that news outlet that is run by the IRGC is saying. I feel like if you let your government get you to the point where you can't speak freely, you are dumb. Because you can be very intelligent, but if you allow your government to silence you, is that a sign of intelligence or is that a sign of ignorance and fear and stupidity? That's what I mean. Just to clear it up for bro. Yeah, they're some of the smartest. If they were that smart, why are they letting women get killed and hung and gang raped because they were simply protesting a bad economy? Yeah, you can't be that smart. You're letting that happen. Trust me. And I know that the numbers coming out of Iran are being tallied and reported when it comes to the literacy rate, the IQ. What independent body is going in there checking the literacy rate of Iranian women and men? Ain't nobody going in there. They ain't letting nobody in there for that. So yeah, you're the one who might be a little bit delusional.
He's supposed to arrive there tonight. Iranian state media, though, was saying, he's not there for talks with the United States.
And what I'm saying, and it's funny because the mainstream media is reporting the same shit, and it's like, you don't even need the mainstream media to report this for you to come to a common sense conclusion. The media in Iran is saying the foreign minister is in Pakistan at the same time as Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, but he's not there to negotiate with them. That's what I'm saying. You can't be that intelligent if you think that you're fooling the rest of the world with that kind of stupidity. But look, here's the thing. Claudette actually believes it. Claudette, you actually believe that the Iranian foreign minister is just randomly going to Pakistan just for shits and giggles while his country is under a blockade, losing $500 million a day. No. And then here's the thing too. If he wasn't going there to negotiate, don't you think that the United States would just destroy the ship, the plane he's on? They're openly, actively killing IRGC leadership. This is a fact. So you actually believe that if he wasn't going to negotiate, Iran will let the United States know that he's on a plane headed to Pakistan right now. Just use your common sense. And then you're saying the CIA destabilized the country. Who gives a fuck? Claudette, you think that actually makes somebody give a damn about what you're talking about? We get it. Yes, they did destabilize the country, and we don't give a fuck. Listen, destabilize, smabilize, whatever, right? They'll never have a nuclear weapon, and if they try to get one, they're gonna die. That's the truth. Here we go. Another. Gotta go, young man. You're woefully misinformed. Not a complete aside. Iran is in the top 20 countries. I just explained what I meant by dumb. I literally just explained it. But anyway, they're like, but what I'm telling you guys is this. This is what you need to understand. Iran was destabilized by the CIA. I agree with you. You can say it's America's fault that the Ayatollah took over. I agree with you 100%. The CIA went as far as to send VHS tapes of the Ayatollah speeches into the country, give them to the dumb, idiotic college students so that they could basically overthrow their country and let a damn tyrant into the country. So let's not say that the CIA didn't push them over the cliff, but they walked them to the edge, right? But my thing is this. Why did a bunch of college students celebrate a dude coming into the country who was like, yo, first thing I'm going to do is ban women from going to college. Second thing I'm going to do is ban women from driving cars. Because that's what Khomeini, not Khamenei, Khomeini, the first Ayatollah, that's what he did as soon as he got in power. And guess what he started doing to the students when they realized, oh shit, we made a mistake? He started killing them. The same students who worked to bring them into the country and install them as the head of state, he literally started killing them. Because obviously they didn't bring him in to be under Sharia law. They brought him in because they thought he was better than the Shah. But what's funny is, and if you don't know your Iranian history, what's funny is the Shah rebelled against America. Pay attention, liberals. The Shah rebelled against Americans because he didn't want to sell the British oil for a super low price that was basically insulting, right? Right? He didn't want to sell the West. He didn't want to sell his oil for pennies on the dollar, right? So the CIA and then, you know, British is whatever their thing is, they overthrew him, right? So Khomeini came in. He talked big shit against America, and the Shah never really talked trash about America. He actually loved America, and he wanted to make Iran like America, right? He wanted to make Iran like Western countries. If the Shah stayed, Iran would be looking like Turkey right now, maybe even better. Okay, so they got rid. The Americans and the British got rid of the Shah. They brought in Khomeini, the first Ayatollah. This guy talked big shit about America, bro. Oh, it's the great Satan, but still sold America and Britain the oil for the cheap, disrespectfully low prices that the Shah would not tolerate. So Khomeini was the United States bitch. He talked tough, but he gave the United States exactly what they wanted. He gave Britain exactly what they wanted. Then he died, and then Khamenei took over. And Khamenei continued to do the same exact thing. Here's the problem. Here's the biggest issue. We were letting them live. They were cool. But when they started to express interest in building nuclear weapons and gaining nuclear power, like a nuclear weapons capabilities, that was the line in the sand. You guys could say whatever you can say whatever you want. You could do whatever you want. But you just can't do that. It's like in the Bible when the Lord told Adam and Eve, of every tree in the garden you may eat, except the tree in the middle of the garden. Do not eat from it. No, do not touch it. Because upon the day of you eating from it, you will know good and bad, and you will positively die. That's what we're telling Iran about the nukes. We're basically God to these niggas. That's the reality. We're basically God to these niggas. They and guess what? They said F you. Boom, dead in the first day. Y'all don't think it's crazy how these dudes got annihilated on the first day? I mean, I'm not laughing. Like, it's not funny to laugh at death, right? But what I'm saying is, dude, they're so far off from being a threat to America on a fundamental level. It's like, why did you guys even try to fight? Why didn't you guys just say, all right, man, we'll back off? Why didn't you guys just back off? They just didn't want to, I guess. I guess they just didn't want to. But what we do know is Iran right now, they're in chaos, baby. And they better figure out something fast before that regime is really overthrown by its own people, which would be right up our alley.
U.S. forces cracking down, conducting a maritime interdiction more than 2,000 miles from the Strait of Hormuz, boarding a sanctioned tank.
They don't. They have a right to self-determination. They have a right to self-determination, but they don't have a right to put American lives under threat. Dr. Dynamite. They do. Self-determination is not building nuclear weapons while everyone in the world knows that you are the number one state sponsor of terrorism on the planet. You have to be an absolute idiot to give someone you know funds and trains terrorists to launch terrorist attacks a nuclear weapon. You don't even know what the words self-determination means. You don't even know what those words mean. You're just saying it because you think it sounds good because you heard it from someone else. You know that this is a liberal because they'll never come on and explain their point, but they'll throw it out there. Self-determination doesn't mean you get to equip yourself to annihilate other countries. That's not what that means. Self-determination doesn't really, and self-determination, right, is like the people of the government, the people within the country make the decision. Do you think the people in Iran care about building a nuke when their country is hyperinflated and they're paying like $73 for a six-pack of Coke? Any normal person would say it's like America, right? We have to convince Americans to let the president go to Iran and kick people's ass because of high gas prices. Like, this whole operation is being threatened because Americans don't want to pay high gas prices. They're like, fuck safety, F all that. If my gas goes up $2, $1 or $2, I'm done with it. Trump, pack it up, come home. So if we don't even want to pay higher gas prices for our own quote unquote safety from an Iranian nuclear threat, do you think that Iranians want to pay 15, 20 times more than what they normally pay for goods because their country wants to build a nuke? Those people in Iran are like, damn those nukes, man. Lower my damn prices. Because the nukes are the reason why their countries are under sanction. All their government has to do is say, hey, we're ending our nuclear weapons program. We won't enrich over 3%. Everything opens up and their country is prosperous. The people don't have a say because the hardline religious clerics have taken over. And they're saying, hey, you guys are going to do whatever we say. There are not nukes, but there is enriched uranium. You guys keep repeating the same thing. Here's the difference. We know the facts. You know the facts too, but you want to ignore the facts so you can hate Trump. Pretend for a minute that Trump doesn't exist. Do you want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? And here's my question. If you don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, why would you allow Iran to enrich uranium at 60%, which isn't necessary for anything on earth other than building a weapon? It's like saying, oh man, I don't want to ride my bike, but you outside with the tires pumped up, sitting on that bitch, getting ready to take off. Well, if you don't want to ride your bike, why are you on it outside on the street with your foot on the pedal? No. Yeah, but you see, Ron, Ron, if you want to come up here so you can get educated, I'll educate you real quick. See, guys, I have a fly in here. I don't know what the hell. Look, see, this is how we know that there's no intelligence in a certain part of social media. Enriched uranium are not nukes, but it takes like 3 days to turn 60% enriched uranium into a nuclear weapon. A nuclear uranium at 90% is a big nuclear explosion. Uranium at 60% is a significantly smaller nuclear explosion, but can still take out 1 to 2 city blocks and eradicate everything on it. the highest you need to enrich uranium for civilian use is 3.67%. That's as far as you need to enrich it. Why is Iran sitting on uranium enriched to 60%? If you answer that question, I'll agree with you. I'll never vote Republican again if you answer that question. If the maximum you need to enrich uranium for civilian use is 3.67%, why is Iran enriching uranium to 60 freaking percent? There you go. Okay. See, but guys, what you'll understand is these people have nothing but insults. They have no facts.
Ship transporting oil from Iran in the Indian Ocean. This coming as President Trump has a new warning. Indian Ocean.
Now watch these American sailors take this Iranian ship, and y'all can't do nothing about it.
Transporting oil from Iran in the Indian Ocean. This coming as President Trump has a new warning for Iran over the strait. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino. Bill Hemmer is off today. It's great to have you.
Got the other Bill.
Yes, the other Bill in my life.
Good to see you as always. I'm Bill Malugin. President Trump tells Fox right now there's just no rush to make a deal with Iran as the ceasefire remains in place, while the U.S. continues to enforce a naval blockade, disrupting illicit networks, providing material support to Iran wherever they operate.
The point of this is the economic leverage that we maintain over Iran now. While there's a ceasefire with respect to the military and kinetic strikes, Operation Economic Fury continues, and the crux of that is this naval blockade. So the president, the cards are in his hands.
Guys, I love my people who be in the comments trying to debate. So Ron J said, there's no evidence they have that much uranium. Other countries have more. One, that's a lie. Two, there is evidence. They said it out of their own freaking mouths. Right here. Yes, Iran has acknowledged possessing 60% enriched uranium, both through official statements and reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA. Iran officials, including the Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, have publicly confirmed the stockpile and even offered to dilute or downblend the materials as part of negotiations. Our question is, why do they have it enriched to 60%? What was the point of doing that? Iran began enriching uranium to 60% in April 2021, following an attack on its Natanz nuclear facility, and justified it as necessary for producing medical isotopes. However, experts note that no civilian nuclear weapon power program requires uranium enriched to such a high level, and the IAEA has repeatedly expressed concerns over the growth of the stockpile. Recent IAEA reports confirm Iran's possession of over 440 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, with estimates suggesting this is a short technical step requiring only about 1% additional effort from weapons grade 90% enriched. Iranian negotiators reportedly told U.S. envoys in 2026 that they control 460 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, openly acknowledging its potential for rapid conversion into nuclear weapons grade. You guys are wrong. Ron J, you're 100% wrong. You got on the internet, you came out here talking shit, you're wrong. We have plenty of evidence because the unintelligent Iranians have openly admitted having the uranium enriched to that point, thinking it was going to scare us. And it didn't work because we're not scared. Now they getting their ass cooked. Having uranium is not the same as having nukes. There's no need for 60. Look, what did they say? 1% of effort required to go from 60% enriched uranium to a nuclear weapon. And you can make a weapon, a nuclear bomb, with 60%. Look, I'm going to type it in Google. Can you make a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb with 60% enriched uranium? Yes, 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 it is possible to construct a nuclear weapon using 60% enriched uranium. Although such a device would be significantly larger and heavier than those built with weapons grade 90% uranium. Feasibility. Research indicates that as little as 40 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium can be used to build a crude gun-type nuclear weapon with a kiloton yield similar in design to the little boy bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Nigga, so you could build a bomb like one of the ones dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki with 60%, with 40 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. They said they have 460 kilograms. They only need 40 kilograms of what they currently had, to make a Hiroshima-sized nuclear bomb. You don't know what you're talking about. You up here hating on the president, and he's protecting you from your own stupidity. This is what pisses me off with some Americans. We be so ignorant because all we got to do is just Google. Google will tell you everything, or AI will tell you. These people make something very easy to understand. They try to make it complicated. You'll sleep better at night if you stop constantly lying to yourself. I don't know why people do that. If I'm right, you live. If you right, you die. Let's put it like that. If I'm right, you live. If you right, you and your kids is dead. Doesn't make sense. Look, have you ever heard of the term err on the side of caution? That's what we do. We're not trusting them. They have no reason. They have given us nothing to trust. So if they got to go over there and beat them up and make them surrender that uranium, that's what has to happen. And if you love them so much, go live over there. Your ass won't do that though, because you ain't gonna. That Iran regime is demonic, but you're just gonna keep defending it. The demon inside you has identified with the demon inside that regime, and y'all didn't form the love thing. Look at this. Nukes degrade quickly. Not now. He's gonna start doing the mental gymnastics to justify why he was entertaining such a dumb idea. Nukes degrade very quickly. Do you know how much it takes to run a nuclear power plant? Whatever it takes, they have it. They had several nuclear enrichment sites. Natanz, Fordo, and a bunch of other ones. They had the ability. They were driving their people into the poorhouse to maintain those nuclear facilities. Maybe just leave them alone. So we leave them alone so they can make the nukes and then bomb someone? Or hold somebody hostage and be like, yeah, if you come in here, we're going to bomb. We've already seen that this regime is willing to bomb innocent countries. They launched missiles at the UAE and Saudi Arabia. What did Saudi Arabia and UAE do to them? Nothing. Just leave them alone. You sound dumb, dude. These are the type of people who be like, I don't whoop my kids, and then their daughters are like a prostitute and their son end up a dope fiend. And then they say, what happened? You just left them alone. You leave them alone. We gonna keep kicking that ass. You leave them alone. Ron. A grown person saying, we know these dudes is crazy. We know they sponsor terrorism. 2 years ago, they kidnapped like 100 Americans and killed 46 of them. But just leave them alone. They got a hard on for freaking attacking Americans. Why would you let them get a bomb? That's dumb. But anyway, I'm glad I'm letting y'all see there are just some crazy people out here, man. There are really some sick people out here. They don't care. Why? Because it hurts their feelings. It hurts their feelings for the United States to keep them safe. Boy, we get more than we deserve sometimes. What's going on here? Okay, let's finish this one.
And Lucas Tomlinson has some new information from the White House. He is joining us live on the North Lawn. Lucas, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill. President Trump issuing new orders to the U.S. military to destroy any Iranian boats caught laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, saying he will blow up the ceasefire if they do. The president also posting on Truth Social moments ago another post about Iran's leadership saying, quote, Iran is having a very hard time figuring out who their leader is. They just don't know. The infighting between the hardliners, who have been losing badly on the battlefield, and the moderates, who are not very moderate at all, but gaining respect, is crazy. We have total control over the Strait of Hormuz. No ship can enter or leave without the approval of the United States Navy. It is sealed up tight until such time as Iran is able to make a deal. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, overnight, as you mentioned, Bill, U.S. forces boarding a third Iranian ship, what the military is calling a right of visit boarding of a sanctioned stateless vessel called the Majestic 10, transporting oil from Iran in the Indian Ocean. Pentagon says it will continue global maritime enforcement like this to disrupt illicit networks and interdict vessels providing material support to Iran wherever they operate.
See, so what's going on is Iran is trying to launch something called a shadow fleet. They're boats where they change their designation, they change their country of origin, they hide, like they act like they're a ship with no flag. So the United States is saying, okay, well, by maritime law, if there's a boat that has no flag and is not owned by any country, we have the right to board it to inspect it. So Iran's tricks are actually backfiring on them because they're not that smart. That's what's going on there. Sorry about that, Imderline. Imderline, I think, agrees with me. He's like, why leave Iran alone so then they can become a pill that's too big to swallow, like North Korea? Exactly. People haven't learned their lesson from North Korea. We left them alone. They developed a nuclear weapons program. Now every other day they talking about, we're going to blow you up. Well, until Trump got in, they were threatening to blow up Americans. Yeah, we don't need more countries like that. Little countries run by dictators with nukes. It doesn't make the world safer. It makes the world less safe. Now you got all those people over there living in hell, and no one can even go help them because we got to worry about, little rocket man over there launching a nuke at somebody to save face. These people are maniacs, dude. And what you gonna say? No, they're right. Because yeah, people who think that the leader of the country is God, and he can run faster than a horse, and he was able to do surgery on people when he was a newborn baby. Like, come on, bro. It turns into a death cult. We know how this story ends, and we're not gonna let another one develop. You're not effing with North Korea, are you? No, we're not, because they have nukes, right? And we don't want another North Korea. My question to you guys is this: if Iran was such a great country, why don't all the countries around them who are on their side with nuclear weapons give them a nuke? China has nukes, give Iran one. Russia has nukes, give Iran one. Pakistan has nukes, give Iran one. Even those countries, even the Arab countries surrounding Iran, do not want Iran to have a nuke because they understand that those people are mental. They understand that regime is a terrorist regime led by a dude with a couple of screws loose. Well, he's dead now. No more screws, right? He's IKEA now. Totally toolless build, right? But this is what I'm telling you guys. If you just stop looking at your feelings and start looking at the facts that surround the situation. If Iran was truly a great nation that had good intentions, why don't their buddies give them nuclear weapons? Hey, man, take this nuke and get America up off your back, dog. No, they're not going to do that because they know that the minute Iran gets mad at them, the terrorist attacks will start on them. And guess what? They were totally right. Because as soon as America started attacking Iran, Iran started attacking its neighbors for no reason. That's like me punching you in the face and then you turning around and punching the guy standing behind you that you don't even know. Like, what the hell did you do that for? I don't know. They punched me, so I punched you. Everyone knows Iran is led by a evil dictator. So they're like, nah, they can't have nukes. They can't have nukes. Only Americans, only milquetoast liberals are like, leave them alone and let them get nukes. And then those same people next year be like, man, see, Trump's weak. He's taco. He let Iran get nukes. We know the game. We know how it goes. And it's not happening. It's not happening again.
Yesterday, Iran seized 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz after U.S. forces seized 2 of Iran's ships in an apparent tit for tat. Iran says the strait remains closed unless the blockade is lifted. And according to Central Command, U.S. forces have directed 31 vessels to turn around or return to port as part of the U.S. blockade against Iran. Here's more from Caroline Levitt on the negotiations with Iran with Martha yesterday.
We're waiting to hear back from the Iranian regime. The fact that they cannot send a unified message yet, which is why the president decided to extend the ceasefire, just shows how effective Operation Epic Fury truly was, because there's a lot of internal division over there. The president understands that, and so we await their response. Well, the president, the cards are in his hands. The United States maintains control over the situation. He has all of the leverage.
Right now, there are no plans for Vice President J.D. Vance to lead a delegation to Islamabad to resume negotiations with Iran, who says they won't show up to Islamabad to talk with the U.S. side unless the blockade is lifted. In the next few days, a 3rd U.S. aircraft carrier strike group will be on station in the Middle East. That's the USS George H.W. Bush strike group. Bill.
All right, we'll see if we end up getting that second round of talks. Lucas Tomlinson live at the White House. Lucas, thanks.
More on this with Brent Sadler. He's a Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow and former U.S. Navy captain. I want to have you listen to somebody you probably know very well, Kenneth Brathwaite. He was on last hour. He's a former Secretary of the Navy.
The power of America from the sea to the shore is being demonstrated today. We do have the ability to seize the straits. We do have the ability, as the president indicated, to wipe out the fast boats. We have 3 carrier strike groups. We have 2 amphibious readiness groups, assorted other fleet assets that are there. Again, this is the greatest concentration of naval forces that we've seen in a long time.
And Brent, as you add the USS George H.W. Bush, that's a lot of naval power there that can help figure out a way to get this to the next stage. Your thoughts this morning?
Oh, yes, that's a lot of afloat diplomacy that's headed towards Iran, and they need to take note. I think it's important to kind of also build on what President Trump said in his Truth Point posting just recently, and that is any Iranian forces laying mines will be attacked. I don't think that necessarily invalidates the wider ceasefire. It also should be expanded or considered to go after any of these small boats that are trying to seize or attack shipping going through the straits, like the capture of 2 MSC vessels, arguably in Iran's designated shipping routes. So an interesting way to treat those that are following their diktat. But the U.S. Navy, the U.S. military is definitely repositioned, rearmed, and ready to restart another campaign of strikes across Iran if necessary. But the blockade is having the desired effect, pressure on Tehran, but also pressure on its benefactors like Beijing.
Speaking of that blockade, President Trump had a phone call with our colleague Martha McCallum yesterday afternoon where he talked about it. If we could pull a line out from that phone call, he said, quote, "The blockade scares them even more than the bombing. They've been bombed for years, but the blockade they hate." The president says it's costing Iran upwards of $500 a day to have that blockade. Do you think he's right with his assessment there? The Iranians are more.
This guy said $500. No, it's costing them $500 million a day. So Iran is cooked. They're gonna end up folding, and I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. Iran is cooked. They're gonna fold. Trump is gonna go down as one of the greatest military presidents of all time. He's going to be the president who defanged Iran. And the Democrats, if they get elected next election, they're going to do everything they can to help Iran rebuild its nuclear weapons program so they can use it as a boogeyman for you. They're going to use USAID to fund Iran's nuclear program so they can use it to scare you into voting Democrat going in the future. That's basically what's going to happen. That's their whole MO, as we already know. So now there's a situation that is developing, and I don't want to get this confused, but it's concerning immigration. No one's reporting about this on YouTube or anything else, but Trump is he's seeking to end legal status for people who came in with the CBP 1 immigration app. I don't know why no one's reporting on this, but it's a big conversation on X, formerly known as Twitter. So Trump has filed a protective. He's filed a new court filing and has a hearing in May, on May 6th, where he is seeking to get rid of all the people who came into the country using the CBP 1 app. I don't know why. Okay, let me see. What? I'm trying to get this little. And that app was the one. That app was the one where they used to get people to self-deport, where they were like, "Yo, we'll give you $1,000. We'll give you $1,000 if you leave." That was all taking place through the CBP 1 app. I think there might be some tracking technology in that as well, right? But I'm just gonna have to dry report this one. Hey, you heard it here first, because no one else is reporting on it. So the Biden era experiment of border by app is officially over. President Trump has followed through on his promise to terminate the legal status of hundreds of thousands of migrants who entered via the CBP 1 app. For too long, this digital loophole allowed nearly 900,000 individuals to bypass traditional vetting and enter our communities under a wave of mass parole that was never authorized by the American people. Despite activist judges in Boston attempting to stall the administration, the message from the White House is clear. A country without a border is not a country. As Alexander Hamilton profoundly noted, the safety of a republic depends essentially on the energy of a common nation's sentiment, on a uniformity of principles and habits. We cannot have a uniform nation when the front door is left unlatched and the rules are written on the fly by the unelected bureaucrats. Conservative leaders are applauding this move as a return to the rule of law. We are finally seeing 11 straight months of zero releases at the border, proving that when you prioritize the citizen over the trespassers, security follows. It is time to put our own workers, our own families, and our own sovereignty first. This is a victory for every legal immigrant who did it the right way, and for every American who believes that our laws actually mean something. The invasion is being met with a wall of resolve, and honestly, it's about time. It'll only cost you about $150 billion. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is what's going on on X, everyone's fighting about this right now because they're trying to say Trump can't overstep the ruling of the judge. He can't overstep the ruling of the judge. And Trump is like, actually, yes, I can. So he's basically making this like an executive order. I'm trying to find more information on this, if I can. So I think Trump has found like what he thinks is a loophole. This was posted a couple days ago. So they're saying like, so basically they're saying it's like 200,000 migrants sitting at the border waiting to come in the country using the CBP One app. So Trump is like, hell no, you're not getting in. And he's ending the legal status of these people because the Biden administration granted them legal status if they came through using that app. So Trump is just ending that. And I think Biden did that with an executive order. And so Trump is just writing another executive order to get rid of Biden's executive order. Yes, I do collabs, Rock City. Just email me. I'll put my email in the chat. Just email me. But it's not a law. It's an executive order. And the rule of law says that he can override an executive order. Yeah. So Trump is trying to get rid of that. So if you guys don't like that, that's on you. Hey guys, do you want to talk about the situation in Virginia where the Virginians, they the Democrats there, they basically tried to do a redistricting of the city where it would take all the rights, it would take all voting power away from the 49% of Virginians that are Republican, and they were declaring victory, and now it's looking like a court within their own state is now overruling the redistricting, and it's not looking good for them. They're looking real sad right now. I'll cover that really quick. The Virginia redistricting is it passed. So all the liberal outlets were celebrating this. Yes, it passed. So let's go. So they thought.
We have some breaking news tonight as CNN can now project that Virginia voters have approved a Democratic plan to dramatically redraw the state's congressional map. 92% of the results are in, with just over 51% voting yes on the ballot measure. Now, if this map is enacted, it means Democrats could win 10 out of the state's 11 congressional districts, which would boost the party at large in the fight for control of Congress. Harrington is here to join us. And Harry, obviously, there were a lot of questions of how this would go tonight. Tell us what we're seeing in these numbers so far.
Yeah, I would just say, look, the yes side won. Yes, they are probably going to end up lower than the percentage that Kamala Harris won in terms of the margin. But you know what? A win is a win is a win. And this means a lot for Virginia. And I will just note, just look at this. They are basically going to gerrymander this state rotten. They are basically going to lock Republicans out of power in a state where Donald Trump got.
Now listen. Listen to what the statistician is saying. He said they're basically going to gerrymander this state to lock Republicans out of every election going forward. So basically, Virginia becomes a 100% Democrat state, even though 49% of the people that live there are Republicans, right? And then we're not even counting the independents who could swing things in the favor of Republicans, right? So this is what we say. Democrats are okay with breaking the law. These are the guys running around with bullhorns screaming, this is what democracy looks like, as they purposely undermine democracy in their own states. This is what they do. That's fine. Now, on the other hand, people are going to say, well, look at what Texas did. They also did redistricting. And Brandon, you're a hypocrite. You're a conservative Republican, so you're okay with Texas doing it, locking Democrats out, but you're not okay with Virginia doing it, locking Republicans out. There is a difference, but I am in agreement with you if you're a Democrat and you have that sentiment, right? Here's the difference, though. Redistricting can happen every 10 years, or if there's a large influx of people moving into your state. It makes sense to redistrict because all those people coming in, they're going to move all over the state and they have different political values, right? So say for instance, you're in Texas, it's an all red state, but 250,000 Democrats leave California because they can't afford the prices anymore and they move into Texas. Is it fair for all those Democrats vote to be eliminated because it's like, no, this district is traditionally red and a huge number of people in this district are red, so the blues will never have a chance to win in an election? No, you do redistricting. So you can, you tally up the people, what their political affiliations are, et cetera, and you draw the districts like that. That's what happened in Texas. Everybody from all over America is moving into Texas for some reason. There's people from Cali moving to Texas. There's people from Chicago moving to Texas, people from Atlanta moving to Texas, people from New York moving to Texas. Everyone loves Texas now, right? That's cool. No one's moving to Virginia. So why are they doing redistricting? Why are they doing it early? No one is moving to Virginia, so their demographics haven't changed at all. The Democrats just took the governor's seat. So clearly the Democrats are pretty strong there. So why do you need to redistrict? You're only doing this for the sole purpose of locking Republicans out. And this is what the CNN statistician is saying. And this is CNN. So guess what? They hate Republicans. So they're not going to lie.
46% of the vote back in 2024. House seats Republicans in Virginia are only going to really end up with 9%. That is quite the imbalance that's going on here, right? Of course, this is part of a larger national picture as well in terms of redistricting. And this, to me, is what is so interesting, right? We've had all this redistricting, right? It started in Texas. Then it was California. We've done Ohio. We've done North Carolina. We've done Utah. But heading into tonight, pre-Virginia results, the net gain from this mid-decade redistricting was really 0 seats, neither side gaining. But now is where we are right now with the Virginia measure passing. Democrats jump out ahead. They are the ones leading in mid-decade redistricting, leading right now by 4 seats on the strength of that yes vote, however thin that margin actually is.
Right. So what's going on here is they barely got this vote through, right? They barely got it through. They won by under 100,000 votes. So Virginia is very close when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. How are you going to lock out over 1.5 million, almost 1.5 million Virginians? Their vote will just be totally eliminated. It'll be like you'll go vote, but it won't matter because now you will only have 9% of the Virginia state legislature versus 46% what you had before, which is almost half. Now you're only going to have 9%. So it's going to look like California, where the Democrats have a total monopoly on the state. And while the Democrats in the state might be celebrating, I just tell you, look at California. California is a nightmare. Taxes, I live in California, by the way. Nightmare. Taxes crazy, regulation crazy. Everyone's moving out. Corporations are leaving because the Democrats have a monopoly on the government, so there's no balance of conservative values to kind of keep them honest. So Democrats will constantly tax. There was just the California gubernatorial debate 2 nights ago. Every Democrat on stage was like, we're going to raise taxes. Dude, they asked the Democrats on stage, what grade would you give Gavin Newsom for dealing with the homeless crisis in California? Do you know all those Democrats gave him a B+ or an A-? The worst homeless crisis in the nation. 50% of our nation's homeless people live in California. And Gavin Newsom wasted $37 billion on quote unquote homelessness, but he can't find the money He can't track the money. He doesn't know where the money went. His words. And they gave this guy A minus, and the rest of them gave him a B plus. The Democrats did that. See, Democrats, this is their new religion. Being a Democrat, a progressive, that is their religion now. They've given up church, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim. Their religion is now being a progressive. How the hell can you give a guy who failed a B plus or A minus, right? And so that's fine. So they barely got through, right? Why would you even want to take away over almost 1.5 million of the people living your state's vote? Why would you even want to do that? Why would you want to do that? I would say, you know what? They got to have representation. Isn't that what this country was founded on? Taxation without representation. So you're going to continue to tax them while taking away their representation in the state government, right? But you'll say, hey, the Republicans did it in Texas. That doesn't mean it's right.
It's what is so interesting, right? Oh, we've had all this redistricting, right? It started in Texas. Then it was California. We've done Ohio. We've done North Carolina. We've done Utah. But heading into tonight, pre-Virginia results, the net gain from this mid-decade redistricting was really 0 seats, neither side gaining. But now is where we are right now with the Virginia measure passing. Democrats jump out ahead. They are the ones leading in mid-decade redistricting, leading right now by 4 seats on the strength of that yes vote, however thin that margin actually is.
So, Harry, I mean, obviously, Senator Warren was just talking about 6 months from now, the midterm elections. What could this mean for the fight for who controls Congress here?
Yeah, I mean, if you know anything about the House of Representatives, and you're down in Washington, D.C., so you know a heck of a lot more than I do, I would just say this. The power right now, it's so tight, right? Every vote is so tight in the U.S. House of Representatives. So you just take a look here, and this gives you the math of why this vote was so important. If you talk about the margin of the GOP majority in the House post the 2024 election, it was 2 seats, 2 seats. That's how many seats they could lose on a vote before losing the majority. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking about Democrats gaining 1, 2, 3, 4 seats, 4 seats in Virginia. The simple math here is 4 is greater than 2. Without Democrats needing to pick up any more seats, this would eliminate the Republican majority and instill a Democratic majority because the margins are so tight. This vote in Virginia means so very much, and that's why all that money was spent on it. My goodness gracious.
Yeah, a ton of money. Harry, thank you for doing that math for us.
I know, it's very hard, very hard.
This is why we keep you around.
That's right.
Harry Ensign, thank you for that. For more on this, my political sources are here tonight. Jermichael, what's your assessment of what's happening?
I mean, look, I'm not happy about this. What we're seeing is a gradual destruction of incentives in our country. So what happens when you create an atmosphere and an environment where compromise no longer exists? Yeah, maybe this is good for Democrats today, but is it good for the long run? Probably not. For 4 years, there was an argument from my friends on the other side about democracy falling in darkness. Well, how in the hell is this preserving democracy? And look, I'm not saying that one side over the other doesn't gerrymander. Hell, they all gerrymander. It's just not a good thing at all. The American people don't benefit from this. And as someone who resides in Virginia, where you have, 40+% of the state that voted for the current president, rather, leaving only 1 Republican congressional seat seems to be in force of democracy and protecting the Constitution and the preservation of these great ideals. I would think not.
Well, I mean, what do you say to that? Because that was a question we asked a lot of Democrats once they launched their own redistricting efforts after we saw what happened in Texas. But a lot of them argued to us was, well, if the Republicans are doing it, we're also going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem here is that Republicans launched a mid-decade redistricting project in Texas. Virginia came up with its results, but Florida is likely to redistrict in the next couple of days. In fact, they held off for the vote, I think, for political reasons, but they are likely to redistrict. So at the end of the day, I think Democrats and Republicans will roughly match out to be equal. We don't know what Florida will do. I think maybe they'll be concerned that redistricting could end up, they could end up losing some of those seats because there could be such a great wave. But I think the truth is that Democrats have supported a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering. Republicans have opposed that. This was a part of legislation they tried to pass in the last cycle. Republicans have opposed that. I believe that we should have a nationwide ban on partisan gerrymandering. The real thing that set this all up was Donald Trump called into Texas and asked them, not by anyone voting, but just asked the legislature to change. And in California and Virginia, at least they asked the voters to weigh in. This is very different than what happened in Texas. Voters have said they would like to move forward on this because they recognize the stakes with Trump ending accountability through gerrymandering mid-decade.
Scott, what's your take?
I've
Virginia
read
literally
all of-
had the fairest maps.
I've
in
read
the
all
nation.
of Project
They had a
2025
map,
in its
6
entirety.
Democrats, 5 Republicans. In terms of proportional representation,
I love it.
they had the fairest map in the nation that was drawn, by the way, by an independent commission that the voters asked for just a few years ago. Now they will have the least fair maps in the nation. And I'm not surprised that the yes vote won. They had all the money and all the lies. And sometimes in politics, when you got those two things, you can put something over the line. Even something as egregious as this whole thing has driven Spamberger's approval ratings down into the toilet. She lied to the people of Virginia. They had to write a ballot question that was a joke.
So Scott Jennings is referring to, so I'm going to play you another video. They were celebrating. We won. But the results got struck down. And the results were struck down because the language of the ballot was misleading, right? On the ballot, it literally just asked, do you want to vote for fairness? That's it. That's all it asked. It didn't say would you like to vote to redistrict Virginia congressional maps, right? No. It didn't say that. It just said, are you in support of fairness? That's all it said. So there were even people who might have been like, we're going to vote against it. We're going to vote against it. But when they read that, would you like to support fairness? Right? Guess what? They got misled. They voted for the wrong thing. Right? Would you like Virginia elections to be fair? Everyone's going to select yes on that. So a judge has struck it down in the state saying, no, this ballot was misleading. People really didn't understand what they were voting for, right? And then there's 4 different challenges to the results. And from what people are saying, it doesn't look like Virginia's going to be able to beat any of them. The Democrats are going to be able to beat any of the challenges. So their plan is ruined.
Florida Congressman and leading candidate for governor of the Sunshine State, Byron Donalds, joins us live now for more on this. Congressman, even though this referendum has been temporarily blocked, as a Republican, how concerned are you about what Virginia did here?
We're a little bit concerned, obviously. Even if you read the ballot language that Virginians had to decide, it was the most convoluted, confusing thing I've ever read in my life to ever be on a ballot, and it was by design. Because Democrats are incredibly radical, and they know the only way they have a chance to win this November is to do these insane gerrymanderings where, look what they did to Northern Virginia. If you look at their new map that they want to push forward, they basically take pieces of Northern Virginia and strip those pieces out to the suburbs in rural Virginia to make Democrat seats. This is insanity that what they've done. And it's not the first time they've done this. Look at the Illinois map. Look at the Massachusetts map. Democrats have a history of doing these radical gerrymanders just to make sure that they have seats and they preserve power. So the judge, I think, did the right thing. If you look at that ballot language, that's just an insane way to tell the voters what you're going to do. It made no sense just to any layperson reading it. And so I think that's why the judge struck it down. We'll see what the state Supreme Court does.
Yeah, Congressman, you've been very vocal about Florida potentially redrawing its own maps in response. I think that might actually happen next week as early as...
Okay, so the Virginia Supreme Court, they basically were going to strike it down initially, but they held off from striking it down because they said, hey, if it doesn't pass, there's no need to strike it down because it didn't pass, right? So they were just holding off. So this vote, this redistricting bill, it's dead on arrival. It was gonna, if it didn't get struck down by this lower court judge, the Virginia Supreme Court was gonna strike it down. They just were waiting until after the results, and then they're gonna strike it down. And then if they don't strike it down, it's gonna go to the Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court is gonna strike it down because it is literally the epitome of taxation without representation. See, Republicans hold a big majority over Democrats in Texas. Republicans hold a big majority over Democrats in Florida, right? So when they do a redistricting, if the state goes mostly to Republicans, no one says anything because Republicans have the numbers. But when you look at Democrats in Virginia, they're barely edging out Republicans, and the language of the ballot was so misleading that many people who were Republican voted yes on the bill without realizing they were supporting the redistricting. But if 1.5 million people showed up to say no to the redistricting, and Abigail Spanberger's approval is dropping, right? And when they were doing polling, so many people in Virginia said they didn't support the redistricting. When it comes out, when you get edged out, it's kind of like, whoa, there's something funny going on here. And then when they looked at the language on the bill, they understood, oh, you guys are just purposely misleading people. So he struck it down. Now, here's the thing. Oh, also, you guys might not know this. They broke the law when they held the redistricting vote, because the redistricting vote, they did it too soon. They can't do a vote for redistricting so soon after a gubernatorial election, right? There's a bunch of rules they broke that go against their own constitution, and they knew it. They knew it. They just tried to sneak it past the voters. And you can sneak it past the voters because they're not paying attention. But what you can't do, you can't sneak it past the courts. The courts knew exactly what they were trying to do, and the Virginia courts were just waiting to strike it down. And the Republicans are mad now because they're like, why did we even waste money fighting this when it was going to get struck down off rip, right? Everyone knew that was going to happen. Was it this one? I want to let you guys. Here we go. This is a good one. This is like the best video I've seen on it so far. Shout out to my brother Whatabouts and What Ifs. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Illinois, California, and Maryland are already gerrymandered to the max, 100%. But see, the thing about it, Whatabouts and What Ifs, if we do gerrymander, right, the Democrats lose. That's what people don't understand. If every state gerrymanders, the Democrats lose. Because think, every state you named, the Democrats win every year in every election. They win those states every election. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Illinois, California, Maryland, they always go to Democrats all the time. So they know they're getting those states in the presidential elections anyway. But once they gerrymander states they already win, then what? Because if you gerrymander Arizona, Republicans are going to win. If you gerrymander Georgia, Republicans are going to take Georgia. If you gerrymander Pennsylvania, Republicans are going to take Pennsylvania. If you gerrymander Florida, Republicans are going to take Florida. Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina. Then keep going. West Virginia. See what I'm saying? Kentucky, Tennessee, Nevada. You're going to, I knew this a long time ago. Total redistricting results in Republicans winning every time. So they're really just fighting a losing battle with the redistricting stuff. It doesn't help them at all. But they're just doing it because they're gonna respond to anything Donald Trump does, because to their base, that makes their base feel like, oh, they're fighting against Trump, but really they're setting themselves up for a loss. Hey, listen. Somebody said I'm talking BS. Okay, go do your Googles, do your AI, and go look it up. I knew this a long time ago. But yeah. Hold on, I'm searching something. Okay, so look, I typed it here on my other phone. If all states gerrymandered and redistrict according to party lines, who would have the advantage? It says under most current models, Republicans would have a distinct advantage if the presidency were decided by congressional districts. While gerrymandering is often discussed as something both parties do, several structural and geographic factors currently tip the scales in favor of the GOP in a district-based system. So you, when I tell you something, you can get mad and your feelings, right, can get hurt. But what I'm saying to you is facts. And so when I'm speaking facts, your feelings are irrelevant. The Democrats are setting themselves up for failure if they continue to try to do the redistricting tit for tat. 100%. Bro, why do you keep bothering me about Paul Mooney? I watched it already, Imderline. I'm black. I watched everything. But I ain't talking no BS. Y'all can keep saying that. Y'all can keep saying it. But I think the redistricting and gerrymandering is 100% wrong. And I am a Republican. Even though I know my party will win every election, every presidential election from here until forever if we gerrymandered every state. The Supreme Court needs to get the gerrymandering shit out of here. 100%. It's wrong to do. We shouldn't. And the Democrats are so desperate. They're so desperate. They'll do anything to try to get power back because they are facing a party crushing possibility because the way they've set things up for themselves. But I want to play this video because this topic is very interesting, and this is one of the best videos I've seen on it.
Certainly, Virginia, by constitutional amendment, has a new redistricting effort that was put in place and first utilized after in the 2021 redistricting. Certainly, I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
Ken Cuccinelli.
Now she lied. I have no plan. That's when Abigail Spanberger was running for governor. She lied. I have no plans to redistrict Virginia. Soon, this girl ain't even been elected 2 months. First thing she did was redistrict. She said, oh, as governor, I have no plans on raising taxes. First thing she did, raise taxes.
In the 2021 redistricting, certainly I've been watching with interest what other states are doing, but I have no plans to redistrict Virginia.
Ken Cuccinelli, he's a Republican. Ken, good to see you. So first, I guess let's get to the breaking news. This judge in Southern Virginia ordering results to not be certified. The judge called the ballot language flagrantly misleading. What's your reaction?
Well, it certainly was flagrantly misleading, but my basic reaction is that I appreciate lower court wins, but the Virginia Supreme Court is going to decide this. And to Terry's point about, well, hey, if they didn't decide it before, there's a reason the Supreme Court held off until after the vote. Over 100 years of Virginia legal precedent says that the vote in a referendum is part of the legislative process. It's analogous to a governor signing a bill. You don't sue on a bill that hasn't passed yet. So what they've done here in terms of timing is very much in keeping with the Virginia legal history. What isn't in keeping with Virginia legal history is how this General Assembly has so blatantly ignored the requirements of the Constitution to amend the Constitution. So I think it's highly likely that this will be overturned probably in May.
So CNN's Manu Raju pressed Speaker Johnson today about some of the criticism from Republicans that the Republican Party, did not spend enough money to fight the Democratic.
Over. So if you look at their various challenges here brought by the RNC and other Republican entities, they're basically.
So what the guy before basically said was the Supreme Court is not striking down the vote, right? They're not striking down. They weren't striking down the bill because no crime or violation had been committed. It's like a cop arresting you before you commit a crime. Now they could say you conspired to commit a crime, right? But it just doesn't work like that in the legal sense when it comes to the Supreme Court of a state taking on a case and, shooting down a bill or a vote. The vote has to take place before the violation can be acknowledged. The violation happens the minute the vote takes place. And actually, the violation takes place the minute the vote is certified. That's when the Supreme Court goes into action. Okay, you guys violated the law by certifying this vote. That was illegal, right? So, like I said, it was dead on arrival, and the Democrats knew that, but they're celebrating it because, look, for them spending millions of dollars to make it look like they're fighting Trump, that's acceptable for them because the Democrat Party is all based on symbolism. Because nothing impacts your feelings faster and more deeply than symbolism. Facts tend to just make people feel angry, but symbolism makes people feel happy.
Basically making two types of challenges here. One is substantive. So they're arguing that the way the question was phrased on the ballot was unfair, was misleading. And there is some legitimacy to that. I mean, the question asks, do you want to, quote, restore fairness to the process? Who's going to realistically vote no on that? I mean, a lot of people did, but it's slanted. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, it's very slanted.
Think about it. It's just a question. Do you want to restore fairness to the process? Everyone's going to hit yes. So they purposely tried to mislead the voter. You got old people, young people who never voted in there. Hey, I never voted. This is my first time. My dad told me, come over here and vote against this bill that seeks to gerrymander the state. You get a young kid in there, first time voting. Do you want to restore fairness process? Of course. And then well, why are you here, Robert? Do you want to get blocked? Because you're spamming my chat. No one's trading against you. You've betrayed yourself. You betrayed yourself because you're a hyper-emotional soy boy.
I think the challengers have some real heft behind their arguments. For example, one of the laws says if you're going to do this, the Virginia General Assembly has to pass a law, and then voting, the referendum, can't start for 90 days after the law is passed. Here, we're not even 90 days out now, and the voting's done. So I don't know how Virginia is going to defend that. There's another procedural quirk, I guess, that says the way you have to do this is the Virginia General Assembly has to pass a law, then you need to have an intervening election, then a second General Assembly needs to pass the law again. And the argument here that you're hearing from the defenders is, well, the 2025 governor election, that's the intervening election. The problem is that overlapped with the first vote. So there's some procedural nuance here that I think is going to be a real problem for people defending this outcome. And I think it's going to give the Republicans a chance to actually get it knocked down on the legal challenges.
Wow.
So it sounds like there are multiple ways to skin a cat here.
Yeah, this bill is dead. So you're celebrating. Oh, we won. All you've done is invigorate the Republican base now. Now you've showed the Republicans in the state of Virginia what you're capable of doing if no one checks you, if no one keeps an eye on you. So guess what they're going to do now? They're going to show up in large numbers, and you better hope that your base stays enthused and motivated to keep showing up for you. Because if they don't, you're going to start losing in landslides. The Democrat Party is going to start losing in landslides in Virginia. Hey, guys, look, it's been beautiful, man. I love being here with you guys. I love talking about this stuff. I know to a lot of people, this stuff's boring. But to us political junkies, we love it. Share the stream with your friends. Who else is going to hang out with you and talk politics all night, right? Me. I like doing that. You guys are my guys. So I'd rather be here with you than run the street. Let's support each other. Let's keep paying attention to the political processes of this country so we can stay free, right? So we can make sure no one treads on us or takes advantage of us in this political theater. And I enjoy all of you guys. Even though I don't agree with a lot of you guys on certain stuff, hey, you're welcome to express your opinion here. I have no issue with it. So thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate everything you do for me in this channel. Azazel, I just wish you could tell me what you mean. You know you my boy. What you mean? Simplify how so, and I'll do it. You tell me what you need me to do, and I'm going to do it. Simplify how so. Do you think I'm reading your comments right now. Do you think it's too convoluted? Or tell me about simplification so I could adjust it. Because maybe a lot of people feel like that and they just never said anything. But yeah, I'm down. I'm building this channel basically from the ground up. We stripped it down and we're building it back. And it's looking good, man. We're doing really well. I'm happy with the results. And you guys have been here with me since the beginning. So I want to make sure it's something that you guys can still watch and enjoy. But I'm still looking, so tell me what you mean by simplify it. I'm thinking about making the stream shorter. I've been thinking about reducing them down to like an hour max, or maybe an hour 20 max. I'm trying to get into politics, but it's also one of those things where you sort of have to have been watching from the. No, it's not really. You can get in. It seems like that, right? But I will definitely. I know what you mean, and I know how you feel, and I can do that. Just keep watching. I'll every story I cover, at the end of the story, I'll give like a summary that's like simplified to end the segment to help people who are like new and just now getting into politics understand exactly what's going on. Okay, don't worry, I could do that for you. Don't worry, just keep watching. I'm gonna do it. You're gonna see. But to those of you who know what's up, keep on watching. Thank you so much for watching this. Did I already say it? Did I say I appreciate everything you do for me in this channel? Till the next time, peace.